Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce, that thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking to Joana Inch from Hat Media. Joana, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So we were just having a bit of a chat before we started recording about your business. I want to hear a bit more. We're going to talk a lot about account-based marketing because you specialize in that. But I want to hear about how you guys came about founding Hat Media.
Yep. Hat Media is about 15 years old. I told you earlier we made that rookie mistake of creating an agency, back in the day when digital marketing was becoming quite a popular thing. And of course, we made the rookie mistake of, targeting anyone and everyone that was interested in things like Google AdWords campaigns, search engine optimization. I don't think social media was around when we first launched this agency. I think it was just starting to pick up in a place like Australia.
It was just starting. So
yeah.
I just finished uni and it was maybe 3 or 4 years kind of thing, but there wasn't much in the way of paid media on socials.
No, we were very much in the world of TV, radio, outdoor, all that kind of stuff. And so digital launched, we launched an agency around it. We thought, let's help people. We felt like it was a really good model to get awareness and, lead generation for so much more affordability compared to TV media, for example. Like you're not paying per thousand, you're paying per click. And I think, long story short, we've been quite innovative since then. So when social media came out, we jumped onto that. When marketing automation came out, we jumped onto that. We are a team, I'd say we're quite nerdy. So we're very excited to explore any new software that comes out in the world of marketing or digital marketing. And now the specialty is very much around account-based marketing. So I feel like we've done it all, and we've finally landed on a tactic or strategy that we absolutely love and enjoy doing.
Yeah, so it sounds like you, as you said, you started broad and you progressively narrowed down. So I want to go back all the way to the start. Why start Hat Media? What was the actual reason? What were you doing before that?
Yeah, I was working for a big company called OMD, and we were, working with clients like Telstra, like McDonald's, like Apple, and I was in charge of radio, outdoor, and cinema. It's, big companies, they're like, you do the same thing every day for about a year and they're not really pushing you or challenging you like startups are or small companies are. And I just felt like I needed a change. So I ended up going to a much smaller company, working for a person who's since become my co-founder in Hat Media. And we were first working in TV world and, clients started asking us, like, is there a better way? Is there a cheaper way to get eyeballs, to get awareness, to get leads? And so that's when we started exploring the world of digital media. But we felt like this couldn't just be, bolted onto the TV media, as a new product. I think this needs like its own agency. And he started off as my boss, but I guess saw an opportunity or potential in me. So we decided to open up the agency. I guess, one, we saw an opportunity. Two, we really enjoyed tinkering with, all the features of the Google AdWords had to offer. So it kind of started off as a, passion as well as something that we thought could go quite big and be quite relevant to what our clients were asking for.
Yeah, awesome. So let's skip all the way to present day now. We'll go back and fill the gaps in later. But what does the business look like? Is it still just you and Nigel? Is it still just you and your co-founder? For those that are just listening, Joanna's shaking her head.
It's so much different. I'd say we're still quite a small boutique size for an agency. We're about 15 in people.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of us are here on the Northern Beaches in Sydney, but, you know, thank you, COVID, it allowed us the opportunity to meet a lot of people internationally. So we work with someone in the UK as well. We work with someone in the US, New Zealand, all across Australia as well. We have people in Tassie, on the Gold Coast. And so it's so much different, because I think what we found out, you know, from learnings and running campaigns on a day-to-day basis is that if you want to scale a business, the smartest thing you could possibly do is niche and specialize in something. So stop trying to be everything to everyone. Find what you love doing, find what you're good at, you know, those 3 circles I mentioned earlier, that what are you good at, what do you love doing, and what can you get paid for? And, you know, us being quite nerdy, we kind of quickly realized, we love the world of SaaS and tech. We love working with B2B. You know, we were lucky enough to work with clients like Lenovo, Canon, and they kind of helped us realize that. And so since then, we've only worked with B2B SaaS and tech clients. And we're now predominantly running account-based marketing campaigns. So Google AdWords is a very, very small part of what we do. I'd say 5%, whereas it used to be 100%. So definitely have evolved quite a lot.
Yeah, awesome. So before we get into account-based marketing, headcount of 15, have you been past that before, or have you got to 15 and have you sort of decided that's the right fit for you, that number?
No, I think we've kind of been up and down in the last 15 years. You know, it's kind of gone up to 15, then back down to 10, then back up to 15. It's been, I mean, you know what business is like. It's very up and down. You know, we've gone through all the economic downturns and upturns, you know, starting with the global financial crisis to COVID to, you know, the recent recession. So it has been challenging, and it's always, you know, very sad to lose, you know, people, because we do kind of see them as families, and you do spend that time training them. I think so far 15 works well for us. We I want to say we don't really have the intention to grow past, you know, 15 to 20. I feel like I want to be able to know everyone on a personal basis. So I quite like that. I don't really have ambitions to be a massive company.
Yeah. The reason I ask is everything, all the conversations I've had and all of the coaching I've done and the books I've read, 15 to 23 is the valley of death. So,
God, so don't go past that.
you either want to stay in that 13 to 15 or get to 23, 24 as soon as possible. Because if you stay in that 15 to 23 zone, it's where you need an operations manager, but you can't afford an operations manager, in essence.
Oh, that's so true. It's so hilarious. I think for us, we've been lucky enough to stay in that 13 to 15 zone. We haven't gotten to that next stage just yet. And you're right. I'm not sure if now's the right time to do that.
Yeah. So you can be super specialist and you can charge higher rates at that 13 to 15 space. But like, let's say you got 18 or 19, you're needing to, as you said, you want to know everyone within the business. But in reality, that's starting to get too many people for you to have a one-to-one relationship with them all. So you end up being stressed and stretched thin until you can afford that operations manager. But that's not really where you're wanting to go if you're wanting to have those one-to-one relationships.
Yeah, and look, it could be a challenge I'd like to explore in the future. I love being challenged and I love trying new things, but I've got 2 young children at the moment, so I'm like, maybe when they're older and they're, you know, bored of me.
Yeah. And there's so much optimization that you can do with that, let's say 15 headcount. today more than ever because of AI automation. AI and automation is two separate things. So many people confuse AI and automation, but they're very, very different. So, yeah, I imagine you guys being very tech focused and nerdy, that you're implementing a lot in that space.
We are. So marketing automation, absolutely. That's at the core of what we do, whether it be demand generation, lead nurturing, or account-based marketing. We're HubSpot partners, but we're kind of technology agnostic as well. So we've worked with the Pardot, Marketo, Dynamics, Eloquaz of the world. And it's amazing what you can do, what you can automate. A lot of the clients we work with, they kind of come to us and everything's on a spreadsheet. Everything's kind of manual. So they're really amazed at all the things that can be automated. So it's incredible. And a lot of these tools now, such as HubSpot and Marketo, they have their own AI features built in. So you can use them together. So AI can help you, discover things, prepare notes, measure that. And then based on that data, you can then create specific automations to really turn that awareness from a lead into a decision.
Totally. Now, I want to get into account-based marketing. We were chatting before we started recording about the fact that a lot of businesses in Australia in particular aren't aware or don't utilize account-based marketing anywhere near as much as they could or should. For me, my mindset is marketing agencies, branding agencies, creative agencies, you can go for small clients that are going to spend $5,000 a month, or you can go for clients that are going to spend $20,000 a month, which is 250 grand a year. The amount of effort to put into converting that client, whether it's a 5 grand or 20 grand client, is pretty much the same. So, but in Australia, the mindset is a lot of the time is it's easier to get those small clients. And I wonder if there's a correlation between that fact and the fact that we don't do a lot of account-based marketing here.
Yeah. Lots to unpack there. I'm going to start with the difference between a big client and a small client, and then I'll tackle the Australian perception of account-based marketing. I think you're right. It's similar effort to convert, and what people also end up realizing in the long term is the maintenance is also similar. So all the the meetings, the work, the account management that you require on a small client can be quite similar with a big client. So then why not go for the big ones? I do like to recommend that other businesses and agencies diversify. So don't just have big clients and don't just have small clients. I think a mixture of both might be great, because some of these big clients do go through economic downturns, redundancies, they slash marketing budgets. So it's good to have the smaller clients to land on when that happens. But then it's really nice to land a big one every now and then and, be able to kind of take the agency a lot further by reinvesting that into new technologies and products.
Totally. A rule of thumb for me is that you don't want an individual client to be worth any more than 20% of your revenue. Ideally, they max out at 10%.
Yeah, good to know.
So otherwise, you end up being at risk. So
yeah.
I don't know what your client bases are like, but if you've got a client at 25% of your revenue, what happens if they cut overnight?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's when you have to start losing some staff, which is not ideal. Nobody wants that. So yeah, that's a really good shout out.
Yeah.
Coming back to your point as well about Australia's perception of account-based marketing, it's definitely something we've seen. It's an interest that is picking up quite a lot. I mean, if you were to do like a Google search volume research on account-based marketing, it's very small. It's like the data shows you 100 searches per month, and that's it. And when you compare that to other campaigns in marketing like lead generation, demand generation, all that kind of stuff, it's quite low. But as we're speaking to more people, we're definitely seeing the interest pick up. The conversations we're having with Australian clients is really different from the ones we're having with, say, UK or US based clients. Like those guys come to us, they've already tried ABM and they're asking mainly around, okay, they want to break into the Australian market and they're asking questions around, what's the total addressable market? Whereas Australian clients are like, well, what is ABM? What does it involve? How many people on our team need to be across it? Those types of questions. They just want to pilot it as a start.
It's interesting. As you say that, it makes it sound like in Australia, businesses are sort of behind the times in demand generation, lead generation, marketing. But what I'm also seeing is, let's say your smaller businesses are having to be a lot more nimble and adaptable and with the way they do the lead gen. So if you're targeting a smaller type client, you have to be at the forefront of technology, the skills, your hook, whatnot. So targeting smaller clients, we're very much market leading. Whereas if we're targeting the slightly larger clients, it almost sounds like we're behind the times in the best way to, not behind the times, but not always doing best practice when it comes to demand generation or lead generation for larger clients.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that. I mean, I do think Australia's quite good with technology. We're definitely using it more and more, especially account-based marketing technology like Sixth Sense, like HubSpot. I think there's definitely an interest, and we'd love to explore these tools a lot further. It's definitely not common practice based on what I've seen and conversations I've had. So yeah, I think there is an element of truth to that.
Yeah. So tell me, account-based marketing, let's go into the nitty-gritty. How does that look? How do you implement it?
Yeah. It's actually quite an old strategy. It's nothing new. I think it's just becoming a buzzword recently for some reason. But the way I would describe account-based marketing is really, you just turn the lead generation campaign on upside down. So if you think of that triangle, which is like the buyer journey of, we attract this many leads and then we nurture them. And so they go from like awareness or a lead to a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead to a customer. That terminology does not work in account-based marketing. And I think the biggest difference is, especially if you're working in the world of B2B and you're wanting to target mid to high to enterprise level clients, you need to realize that there's a buyer group. There's not just one person making a decision. It's usually about 6 to 8, and they're in different departments. And, there's procurement, there's maybe marketing, there's sales, there's the C-suite. And so I think, traditional marketing campaigns, they make the mistake of getting that one lead and just nurturing that one lead and speaking to that one person. And then a lot of the times the deal just doesn't progress because what they're failing to do is speak to the other 6 to 7 people that are also part of that decision and that buyer group. So account-based marketing explores who are these people. So I think the first step in account-based marketing is you identify exactly which accounts you want as your customers. So rather than saying, we want 1,000 leads for the next 6 months, what you say is, we want these specific companies that have this much revenue, that have this much employee size, that are in these specific industry verticals. We want them to be our clients. And then you look at, okay, who are the 6 to 8 decision makers or stakeholders that we need to influence? And what are their pain points? What are they Googling? What are they struggling with around what we offer? And so all the content that you create, all the sales outreach that you do, basically you work as a team to try and engage these 6 to 8 people or stakeholders in these accounts. So it's a lot more nuanced. There's a lot more work involved. Technology can be really helpful in showing you things like buyer intent and signals that help you determine, is it the right time to reach out to these accounts? Are they in market or are they out of market? What kind of campaign and content do we need to create? It's also very much a team effort. So it's not just marketing. I think this is where a lot of clients kind of roll their eyes and figure, oh, this is not going to work, is when I tell them you need to become best friends with your sales teams.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's definitely not just marketing. You need marketing, sales, talking to one another, and working closely, and educating one another.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, yeah, it's and like, rather than doing, as we're talking about, inverting the funnel, rather than reaching out to 1,000 people, you're contacting 20 different businesses and 5 or 6 different people within that business, and focusing purely on them, knowing that you'll get a 40% conversion rate or 30% conversion rate, because everything is so much more bespoke. All the messaging is bespoke.
That's right. And there's no such thing as marketing qualified. You've already qualified them from the get-go. So it's really just more of an engagement metrics that you're measuring, and intent and buying signals.
Yeah. I want to change tack for a minute. Go back to growth of the business. So we talked about how you've gone from 1 to 15, and you've changed and narrowed down your niche. And then you've gone from 15 back to 10 and back to 15 again. I want to hear a bit about the journey. Like, there's probably been times where the business hasn't been as profitable as you wanted, or even you've had upset clients, and you've questioned, you and your business partner Nigel have questioned why you're doing what you're doing. So can we uncover a bit of that story or that journey?
Sure. One thing about Nigel, he's the most positive person on the planet. So he's never questioning anything. He's just full force. Okay, how can we solve this? He's very much a problem solver. I'm probably the one that's like, this isn't working. So he's kind of been the rock in the partnership with Hat Media. I guess if I look back on mistakes made in the agency, and they're all learnings really.
Exactly.
But again, the first one was not niching fast enough, like trying to target anyone interested in digital marketing. I think having a niche is crucial. Knowing who they are, researching them, and really every bit of content you create is for them in mind, and just specializing in an area. So that's the first thing I would advise. The second one, and I know every company is different, but we dipped our toe in using offshore talent, for example, and that didn't necessarily work for us. So now we're very much into, working with specialists, working kind of on the same time zone, getting people in the office and training them on a regular basis. That tends to work really well for us as a business. Other mistakes made, I think we did at one time make that mistake that you mentioned earlier, with the one client being responsible for more than 25% of the revenue. Yeah. That was one of our big clients, and unfortunately they made half the marketing team redundant, so we lost all our contacts there. And I think from that learning is where we kind of went, okay, let's diversify, let's work with some startups, and then also let's work with some enterprises. And it's been a really enjoyable journey diversifying, because you've got different set of problems to solve for each one, and it's kind of exciting. You're not doing the same thing every day.
Totally. Let's say you're, at the end of the day, you're in the space of creating leads or new sales for your clients, through marketing, through account-based marketing, all the different services you provide. Where do you see the industry in 5 years' time?
That's a great question, and really hard to answer that with AI at the forefront.
Yeah, but, that's why I'm asking the question.
I think the agencies that learn how to use AI and just empower their people with it are the ones that are going to do well, compared to ones that are like, oh, we don't use AI, we're just using, manpower. Because there's so much that AI has helped with already. And I think those who learn how to use it and really just give the manual labor, the work that people don't really necessarily enjoy doing to AI, and then focus on things like strategy, relationships, the human side of things. I think AI can free us up to do more creative and strategic work, and focus on relationships, which is at the forefront of business. I think relationships is what's really, it's all about the people.
That's the one thing you can't replace.
Yes, exactly. And so I think people that learn how to use AI, or agencies, I should say, are the ones that are going to do well. They're the companies that are going to do well.
Yeah, awesome. So one piece of advice for other business owners, if you could say, give one piece of advice, nothing else, what are you going to leave with everyone else today?
Nail your niche.
You've said that about 5 times. I love it.
It's such a basic one, but it's a mistake I see time and time again. And I wouldn't just say that to the startups and the people that are just getting started. I would go to the enterprises and say, nail your niche, because they get distracted. They kind of they grow and scale with so many different clients, industries that are not very much like each other. So for them, the homework really is to sit down, look at who their top 20 accounts are, and work on getting more like them.
That's it. Because they're the ones you're going to be most profitable with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time today. If people want to get in contact, what's the best way to connect with you?
Just find me on LinkedIn. I've just published a book on account-based marketing, actually. So if it's a topic you're interested in, I'm more than happy for you to reach out to me on LinkedIn and ask for your free copy. I'll gladly send it to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Joanna.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.